How's it going, everybody? This is Jack and John coming at you here to talk about our feature match from our Friday Night Magic event. On the left, you see Alan Jones piloting the Mono Blue Tempo deck.
On the right, you see John Huff running Izzet Wizards.
See a dice roll here. I believe you called evens, and you won the dice roll. You can see the players draw up their first hands. Automatically, you see a Wizard's Retort and a Curious Obsession, as well as a Merfolk Trickster and Opt for Alan.
I go ahead and mulligan the hand. Having 5 lands isn't very good for a starter.
See that you decide to keep this hand, seeing that it's much better than the last one.
Considering with the turn 1 get to Lava Runner, it sure is.
Let's go. Lightning here. Take for one.
Rather than going with the Electromancer here, we went ahead and gone with the Wizard's Lightning.
It seems like a good move, seeing that to take out the Siren Storm Tamer is a pretty good play. But we see that followed up here by a Terramander.
Goblin Electromancer.
Well, left with no answers, I went ahead and played a Goblin Electromancer. And if there's one thing, a 1/1 can't block a 1/2.
We see Curious Obsession here being attached to the Terramander and swinging in for 2 damage. And a dive down to answer the Wizard's Lightning, which could have very easily killed the Terramander here.
We see him top deck a land, which could easily allow him to cast Tempest Djinn off the top.
Alan takes the 4 and goes down to 14.
With no answers, he also goes down to 12 due to the Fushino Pyromancer.
See an end of turn opt here for Alan. He'll choose to draw the card. Looks like he top decked another Storm Tamer. And we see him move up a Merfolk Trickster to the front of his hand, seeing that it may come in handy here in a few turns. And we do see a Merfolk Trickster being flashed in here on John's upkeep to tap down his Goblin Electromancer.
Seeing if he's going to go ahead and trade with one of my 2/2s, it would definitely be helpful getting rid of it. He goes ahead and takes 2 and goes down to 10, following it up with a Charter Course on main phase 2.
I see you didn't follow up with the chart. Did you follow up with the Charter Course? Okay. Here's another Storm Tamer for Alan.
Taking 2, going down to 14 on my side.
You see Alan cast a Terramander and pass the turn on to you.
Right about now, I'm trying to decide whether to fake out a counterspell or try to get one out of his hand.
You can see a wizard's tort here to answer the Electromancer.
With his field of valuable 1/1s, I went ahead and decided to swing in for 4.
You can see Alan here declare no blocks and takes 4, goes down to 6.
Pass, but stop the upkeep.
Stopping the upkeep,
Trickster.
attempting a trickster on the Pteramander.
What are you here, 12, you said?
Yeah.
Alan asking what your life total is here. Swinging in with the Pteramander for 2. Surprised he didn't try to adapt it before combat damage was dealt, seeing that he probably had enough instants in the graveyard.
Yes, but in doing so, he would have to tap 4 mana, so he wouldn't have a counterspell up without Siren Storm Tamer.
You have one card in hand?
Yep.
What, 10?
Yep.
There's been quite a long pause here. Are we on your turn yet, John?
I believe so. He's trying to declare blocks.
Blocking here, and I'm going to adapt to Pteramander.
And we do see him choose to adapt to Pteramander here after
Taking 2.
declaring blocks.
Second man.
With his Charter Course, I'll finally be able to restock my hand after a long drought.
First things first, my chunk's not going to sound like you do now. It's going to be great. Underworld Connection. Oh.
Tempest Gem would have been fine there.
No, it has
We see a top deck land for Alan here. Looks like he's still holding another Pteramander in hand as well. And we see him cast it.
Retort that.
Your retort.
You see Alan answer your retort with another wizard's retort. Nothing like a good counter spell battle.
You don't get many these days.
I've got 5 instant sorceries. 10.
With 5 instants of sorceries in his graveyard, he swings in for a surprising just 2.
Before damage is dealt. Down to 8.
Quite surprised he didn't adapt this Pteramander as well and swing in for 10 with both of them.
Yes, I did find that quite interesting in my game with him.
Alan's still holding up one card in hand. I believe it's probably a counterspell.
I do believe right about now I'm trying to feign a counterspell in hand. But counterspells can't stop damage, so...
Blocks.
Oh, wait, I got to put a card in here. Yeah, I'm running space.
Move to damage.
I guess
I'll adapt to Pteramander.
That's game.
Missing a single land, having Invis in hand, really hurts in this matchup.
Counter spells for days.
However, with his field of 5/5s, it wouldn't have made much difference.
That's what we're both going to be getting. Just counter spells for days.
See the players here move into their sideboards, deciding to pick what cards out to put into their deck.
I do believe I saw 3 Deep Freezes, a Negate, and a Merfolk Trickster for sideboard on my side. Alan's side, we only see 1 card come out.
It's quite interesting. I only see 1 card being sideboarded in. But seeing how well the first game went, I'm not sure what he could possibly take out. But we see him looking at the chart, of course, here.
But he also has a Tempest Gin pushed up all the way to the front.
You listen to Critical Role?
It's been a while, considering I don't have 250.
Heavily considers a Entrancing Melody, which I could see being taken out.
Absolutely. I could really see that card being used well against a Sultai mid-range deck, possibly to take control of their Crisis. But I don't feel like there's quite a lot of value to be gained off of the small 2/2 creatures here.
What matchup?
Oh, just like what I'm trying to figure out what I side against you.
I like the center. What? I have a pretty good idea.
I'm worried about bringing in too many counters.
No time passes for the other creature. I'll take 1. That's right, you did. 4. How is it?
You're not running Deafening Clarion, so I'm telling you, the next big control deck is going to be Grixis.
It makes me
Now,
really upset.
personally, I think this is an interesting query on Alan's side, bringing up the argument that in the next metagame, Grixis control will be, well, top tier.
There's just access to too many good.
That's a day I'm hoping for. Grixis being one of my favorite color combinations. I'd love to see a Grixis control game or deck to be top tier in the next meta.
Especially with Niv Mizzet roaming around, along with Nico Bolas in Standard. And who knows what kind of Planeswalkers are going to come out in the next set.
Right, and with good enough removal through Vraska's Contempt and even Bedevil from the new Ravnica Allegiance set, being able to target Planeswalkers as early as turn 3.
But even with this, you have Goblin Electromancer, making them cost 1 less.
Right.
It's just really, I really don't know how to feel about it.
Have you seen the new Spectacle Burn deck? The Rakdos?
Haven't seen it.
It's so good, and it could easily be done in Standard if they just reprinted Goblin Guide
Oh, let's
and
not.
Bolt and Lava Spike and Skullcrack and Bump in the Night.
Black and blue is the best color combination.
These magic boards give me a good
Now, out of most things, I do not believe Rakdos aggro could be, well, viable in this current situation.
Breath of Life says look for something else.
No, especially with all the non-creature counter spells that Mono Blue tends to run. Most of your burn spells I could see you being snuffed out pretty quick.
Along with Entrancing Melody being able to take control of a Goblin Guide.
So long you're talking about a Magic deck, but maybe some Pretzel Sticks be the same.
I'm going to become a pro player and name my deck Pretzel Sticks. Inspired. I'll be able to play.
After sideboard, we see both players go to draw 7 cards.
I'll keep.
I see you, John, keep your first hand. It does look pretty well, seeing that you have a mountain and a turn 1 get you lava runner here, as well as a Sulfur Falls, I believe, and a opt in hand.
One.
Here a oof as Alan takes that 1 point of damage.
I have to begin the clock somehow.
We have 7 minutes until start.
We see a Wizard's Retort and a Opt pushed up in his hand. However, I do believe that Mist Cloaked Herald isn't a wizard to trigger a Wizard's Retort.
Correct.
Okay. I'm stopping at my instead.
Opt.
So I'm going first.
So you're going Merfolk Trickster me, or you want to let that off resolve?
I'm going to let that off resolve.
Seeing the opt can't be a target of Merfolk Trickster, I believe Alan chooses to just let that resolve.
Probably one of the most interesting plays in this matchup.
This is an ability, right? Static ability?
It's a static ability, so yeah. So yeah, Merfolk Trickster would erase that, but it'd be tapped down, so it's like, yeah.
Well, unless you declare it as an attacker, and I flash it in after declaring
Okay,
it as
so
an
I'm in
attacker.
my upkeep.
Yeah.
I have nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, do you have anything?
No. I just wanted you to stop there.
After a long pause at my upkeep, nothing happened.
Mixed messages.
I don't even have Trickster in my hand.
He says he doesn't even have Trickster in his hand, but we see it pretty clear right here. Nice try, Alan. Another op from John here.
For 2? Or combat.
Trickster.
Yeah, go.
Block.
Now, with the Trickster coming onto the field, I'm surprised he didn't tap down Vishino Pyromancer before blocking.
Yeah, you declare it as an attacker. I forget to block.
See somebody carelessly hit the camera setup here.
It's quickly resolved.
Casually has heart attack.
I really don't like losing my wizard that way.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
1. Oh, dang, I should. Whatever. I'm stupid. Let's do it again. Go.
Vishino?
Here's another Vishino Pyromancer attempted to be cast. And a Wizard's Retort here to answer it. So that's quickly followed up by another Get You Lava Runner, which does have +1/+0 and haste.
Come on, Miss Clocarol, you're facing down the odds. Oh, good. On main phase.
Here's a main phase opt here for Alan.
I'll draw that.
Choosing to draw.
Turn.
Looks like he top decked the land off that.
I do believe I see 2 Spell Pierces in hand.
Casually doesn't send Pyromancer to its death.
Ooh, another land.
Nice. Dude, you need those to cast spells. It's crazy.
I think I could cast anything and protect it.
See, Alan chooses not to attack and passes back to you. You swing in for another 2 points of damage.
Only 4 more turns, Alan.
Now we see Siren Storm Tamer enter the battlefield for Alan and passes back to you.
You know, game, I don't find this funny. 2.
I wish you had temple cards. How's it going, Jones? With Celestial. Yesterday I opened 2 packs and I pulled March the Multi.
I gain priority after you choose how to assign damage, don't I?
I don't believe so. Unless it's before damage is dealt. Yeah, you might want to pull out the phone.
Let's check. Oh, I'm gonna call from Mikhail. Hello?
I do believe he chooses to phone a friend here.
Hey, I have a magic question for you.
I believe so.
Chance to respond to him choosing how to assign damage. So like, I go to block, I declare blockers, and after he decides, 1 damage to this, 1 damage to that, can I respond to that? He assigns what? Oh,
No.
okay, you're right.
One ruling
So,
that I've
can I
learned after
respond
this
to that,
game
though?
is that, well, instead of, choosing what damage goes to what, you choose the order of blockers first.
Okay.
It makes sense.
So,
I feel like I sense a little bit of slow play here.
yeah. Okay. All right. I think that helps me enough to where I can decide what I'm going to do. All right. All right.
2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna cast
Double block. 1/1.
And I believe we finally have the answer, and this phone call resolves, allowing Alan to choose his blockers.
Soon, like within the next 30, 40 minutes. Like 30 minutes. All right. All right. Bye.
Okay, so dive down, right?
Okay. So Yeah. So you choose the order of blockers. You don't choose damage.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and choose that to be first.
And I'm gonna dive down.
Okay.
So that means no damage will carry over to that either.
Yeah.
So.
Whenever you draw a card, you should
Cards in
focus
hand?
everyone. It's a 5.
3.
That's a card. That's a no-no card in Commander.
Are you cool with the
Your deck is
second
not that
main
bad.
deep freeze?
Another deck's
Are you cool with a negate?
Huh?
rip your card. So no. Continue.
I don't think I'd be very cool with the negate right there.
I think I would prefer a Spell Pierce.
I feel like I've heard that before.
Because it drains the whatever.
What are you at? 18?
I'm at 18.
Oh, good to go.
9-turn clock if he chooses to swing both. However, I do believe we will see
Got
a
you on a clock, sir.
17-turn clock
God.
instead.
Whatever shall I do?
Did I tell you about the stupidest game Commander I had? I Wrath of God, then Armageddon, and
Does
I
nothing.
protect my gates,
Just
but then
pass.
struggle to kill all the boards
Fast
fast.
turn.
Swing.
Oh, it was great.
Alan chooses to swing here with his one unblockable
Chart, of course.
and cast Chart Course to draw 2 cards.
Wizard
I
Retort.
realized.
But we see that followed up here by a Wizard's Retort.
Draw 2 charges.
Thankfully, that Charter Course is, well, countered. Can't let the mono blue tempo player, get more card draw.
Man, these lands are burning up the hand.
It's funny because this deck is incentivized to cheating. And I'm joking, by the way.
After they burn out.
Hawaii's an island.
Yeah, but they just have mountains.
Oh.
Do I?
You need 2 cards.
Yes, I do.
Draw that many cards in this one.
Lightning.
See an attempted Wizard's Lightning here on the Storm Tamer. Alan having 4 mana up, though, he may have an answer for it in his hand.
Cards in hand.
1.
We do see a Spell Pierce here.
But not just a Spell Pierce, 2 Spell Pierce.
Okay, let's do damage assessment. You want to read it?
Enter combat.
Yep.
So whenever
2.
the Spiria is
Go ahead.
this combination trade, they reveal their hand.
All right, you sped up your clock by a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I call it card right, I get to switch my deck for a flyer. Reveal is to
Okay.
the board.
See a opt here for Alan. Looks like he's looking at a dive down on the top. And he chooses to draw
Oh no, he's gonna block.
and passes turn back to you.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Now it's just a matter of building our hands back up.
Yeah.
And who decides to go first. Go.
Looks like we're just going to see a little pass battle here. See who builds their hand up the quickest.
2 counter spells and the Stare of God. He probably gives everything flying.
Attempts to feign a island as a counter spell.
Go.
So it nails
Okay,
all
cool.
your stuff to the ground. Very good, bud.
Oh, does I take initiative here?
That's how people lose chess.
One of the biggest mistakes in my part.
I'm surprised he didn't play it in the earlier turn. But seeing that the information in Alan's hand is unavailable to you at this point,
Double spell pierce.
I would probably keep it up and feint as a counter spell as well.
Put the
But we do
counter
see
on
that countered by
Mr.
the 2 Spell Pierce.
Hi.
Trickster, block, and dive down.
See a dive down targeting Merfolk Trickster to block the Vishino Pyromancer here.
One of the biggest problems with it is being the 2 wounds, so
Tap tap.
you can see how effective that is. But that Entrancing Melody will just have to sit in hand for him.
12.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you're holding up a counter, right?
I like this hand.
He likes this hand, everybody.
Yeah. Deep freeze.
I don't think I like this hand right now, though.
So you cast Blink.
Casually creates a
effectively
1/5 defender.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
It's not bad.
No.
It's not bad in the slightest.
Go ahead.
Oh, sweet. Go.
We see Alan miss out on 2 damage, allowing me to time walk him, so
10.
I do appreciate it.
Swing.
2 more points of damage here.
Terramander.
And following that up with a Terramander.
I can probably do this just for 1 blue, can't I?
looking through his graveyard to see if he can adapt it for just 1 blue mana, which I believe he could at this point.
Oh, he certainly can.
Go.
End of turn, I'll
See, Alan chooses the adapt at the end of your turn, John.
Wizard's Lightning.
do
But in response to the trigger, you Wizard's Lightning his Charmander.
But in response to Wizard's Lightning, he adapts yet again because of no counters on the creature.
Rolling about that later.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can do it at instant speed, right? Oh, I can put it, like, I can put the stack on it.
Okay.
Or, you know what I mean?
Go.
So, yeah. I mean, do you want to check it?
Take your turn.
Do you want to check it?
I lose anyway.
What do you got? 8?
Yeah. I'm not dead this turn, because I'm going to counter your Kriya's position.
7?
1.
If only Deep Freeze didn't have defending.
Division?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Surprised you let this Tempest resolve right here, John.
I'm not dead yet.
My islands will stop it. It's okay.
I'm actually not. Doesn't that make you excited?
I am always excited about this.
Okay, I gotta stop you right there. Before we enter attacks.
Choosing to stop Alan here real quick to Merfolk Trickster his Tempest.
Retort?
I think we see Alan answer that with a Wizard Retort. Ooh, and a negate followed up by John.
Negate?
And another negate.
Okay.
And I believe that's 2 over Allen.
Melody in my hand.
Yep. And that's the end of our second game here in the final match. And see Alan here came in first place, followed up by John in second. And if you're ever in the area and want to come by and play a fun game of Magic, stop by MindGamez and sit down and talk to us, play a few games, and especially show up on Friday and Saturday for our FNM events and Saturday showdowns. They are a lot of fun, and it's always fun to hang out with fellow Magic players and just talk about deck ideas and stuff like that. So that's it for me and John. Check us out on our YouTube channel and podcast. We update once a week, and we're signing off. See you guys later.